Ugh, thank God. Well, so now the hope is that this will stay live properly. Hopefully, people will turn up. Oh, hey, look at that. We have video at last. All right. So, I have no real idea what I'm doing here, but the purpose of this was to try and get a chance to actually communicate with people directly. There's been a fair amount of feedback on the community page on our YouTube channel, and it just seemed like a good way to actually reach out to people would be to do it live. So here we are. I'm hoping that a few people will show up, and hopefully some questions will get asked, and maybe we can, get something going. I feel like there should be a way for this to tell me who or what is in this stream. Interesting. I don't know if it's counting me as a participant or who knows. So, one of the other things I wanted to accomplish with this was to try and give a demonstration of the sort of thing that goes into generating an audio project, especially one that's not small scale. Just to give people an idea of what can potentially go into something like this, I have here the current state of my most recent audio project. And as you can see, it's a lot of tracks. This might actually be overkill at some point. But on the whole, this is what an audio project inevitably looks like. Just a big, long timeline with every layered thing you could possibly think of carefully put into position. Each one of these tracks has volume leveling and effects plugins and track compressors and equalizers. So it's a lot. Welcome to all the people who are here right now. Feel free to, as I said, to throw a question at me anytime. I'm going to try and keep this window up on one side here, just so that I can see if anyone asks anything and if I need to respond. So again, I don't know how long I'm going to be going for this. Someone who gets the background. Yes, I wholeheartedly am a Space Wolves fan. Always have been. And I got to say, so much of what they are is just an amazingly silly concept that I can't stop. I had originally picked them up to play on tabletop, for anyone who knows what that means. So Richard Valdez here. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. When he says brother of the route. No, I have not picked up Fury of Magnus yet. I have to admit though, as far as books though, so far my favorite Wolves book has definitely been Prospero Burns. And it's been a while since I've had a chance to play. And it's certainly been a while since I've actually had a chance to work on my Wolves. I have mostly been working on my Necrons, which is an ordeal. But yeah, so going with the Warhammer theme, it should be pointed out that the current project that I'm working on is Forsaken by Danny Ware, which, for those who do not know, every now and again, Black Library puts out these lovely little sampler books. And it's a collection of short stories from the various universes that exist in Warhammer. And front and foremost in this book, which I got free, by the way, because this is just something that Games Workshop gives away when they feel the need to do so. Right up front, there was a Sisters of Battle stories. And I wasn't going to pass that up. My wife did a marvelous job recording through the narration track of it. And I have spent what time I can spare recently to try and add music and effects underneath it to try and make an actual audio drama out of it. So as I was just showing you, the tracks themselves are pretty simple in a couple of ways and pretty complicated in a couple of others. It's a weird way to describe it. I realize that. Yes, Prospero Burns was. If you haven't actually had a chance, since what I mostly do is audiobooks and things like that, I totally recommend checking out the audiobook version of Prospero Burns. Gareth Armstrong is my hero. He's one of 3 or 4 Black Library readers who regularly do audiobooks and audio dramas with Heavy Entertainment. And oh man, he has one of those marvelous British voices that is just, I could listen to him all day. And in fact, I have. Yes. And I was about to say Toby Longworth, the long-standing hallmark of Warhammer audio. The man is an absolute king. And I would pretty much listen to anything Toby has ever done. He's very, very, very good. Another personal favorite for me is Saul Reichlin, who I haven't heard much from lately. I know he's been actually out doing theater stuff, which is fine. I mean, I'm a theater nut myself. My actual degree from college was in acting, which is, a poor man's route. And I got to say, actually, Black Library. I'm sorry. I got to take one of these out because I keep tripping myself up because I've got my own audio in my ear. So I need to be able to actually hear myself talk so I can ignore what's going on in my ear. And yeah, the thing that Black Library did in the last year or two, I forget precisely when, that really offended me on a personal level was they took the 3rd book of the trilogy of stories about Vulcan that Nick Kime was doing, that started with Vulcan Lives and ended with Old Earth. And they handed the last of 3 books to a totally different narrator. And I couldn't understand why. And it's not that Jonathan Keeble did a bad job per se, but after 2 whole books of establishing what the salamanders sound like and what Vulcan sounds like and all of this stuff, it was really kind of a slap in the face to have a totally different thing dropped in your lap all of a sudden, which is a shame. I honestly would have loved to have seen Saul Reichland do Old Earth instead of Jonathan Keeble. And again, it's not that Jonathan Keeble did a bad job. Part of it kind of feels like he phoned it in, though, which was disappointing. Because there's a lot of really neat crap happening in that story. And here's the thing. Jonathan Keeble, he kills in the audio dramas they produce. It's amazing, the kind of stuff that he can get away with doing. I have not actually heard the series of Night Lord's books. I have heard people complain about the audio in that they all sound like Transylvanians, which is a weird choice for me. Yeah, for me, honestly, the definition of what the Night Lord sounds like, again, is something that I trusted Saul Reichland with before anything else. He is the voice of Conrad Kurz, in the same way that he's also the voice of Vulcan. Gareth Armstrong will always be the Lion to me, though. He straight up earned that, and that is... Again, if you haven't had a chance to read the Primarchs, which is, again, a collection of, I guess you'd call them novellas. They're a bit long to be called short stories. But each one of those was done by a different performer. And that was one in which Jonathan Keeble actually killed as a Primarch in performance when he played Fulgrim for Reflection Cracked. And, man... if you hand Jonathan Keeble a character who is just nuts, yeah, he really, really does well. And then, for the others, you have David Timpson playing Ferrus Manus, which is awesome. Gareth Armstrong played the Lion. And then, oh God, what was his name? Sean Barrett playing the Alpha Legion. I have never once given the Alpha Legion like a second thought, because they're one of the hardest sets of characters to pay attention to by design. Yeah, the Fulgrim and the demon possessed, and just all of the commanders of the Emperor's Children, who all sound horrifying. Yeah, it's amazing. But yeah, if you haven't actually read or listened to The Serpent Beneath, that is a masterwork. I've considered doing a version of that myself, but part of me doesn't want to because the original is so perfect, and I feel bad about that. And yeah, I imagine the book about Alpharius and Omegon is nuts, because they have, as I said, a by design backstory that is intentionally convoluted, and parts of which are intentionally not true, because they're supposed to be like Space Marine master spies. Yeah. The audiobooks can be a little bit expensive. I got to admit, though, one of the things that I do, or did before El Pandemic locked us all in homes, one of the things I would do is I would just save up like, I don't know, $100 or something like that, and the next time I drop by my Games Workshop, I walk over to their audio rack and grab a couple. just whatever seems new that I know I don't have. My CD collection for that is vast. It is insane. And the thing is that like very few of them are ever actually bad. Even with no context whatsoever, a lot of them are really just well-produced pieces of audio. Yeah, they're definitely worth every cent. Although I do admit that the larger audiobooks can get a little pricey. Which is one of the reasons why I produce some of them for free. Although I admit I'm probably not as good as some of the production companies making these. I have always wanted to work for heavy entertainment, but yeah, Lord knows if that's going to happen. So to give you guys an idea of the sort of thing that I like about audio dramas, I'm going to give you guys a quick preview of a section of this. We'll just go ahead and start from the top. So one of the things that I will say right off the bat is that it's actually very complicated taking a vocal track and layering stuff over it or under it, as it may be, to try and make it so that it doesn't overwhelm the audio, especially when you're talking about using both music and sound effects. And the thing with sound effects is that can run the gamut, and they have a variety of their own audio challenges. So to any up-and-coming audio people who are watching this or who will ever watch this, one of the first and most important things you need to learn how to do with whatever software, as you may have noticed, I use Acid Pro 7, which is an older program at this point, but I kind of can't use anything else at the moment without having to completely relearn. For new people, what's it called? It's been so long since I've used it. There is a freeware recording software program whose name currently escapes me. It'll probably occur to me later on. That is a perfectly serviceable thing. It has most of the same functions that a system like Acid Pro 7 does, but Acid Pro is a little bit more complete. And it also came with a bunch of other stuff which was useful to have, including some built-in plugins, which I don't think... yeah, I'm going to drive myself nuts trying to remember the name of this program. Another time. Anyways, so back to what I was saying. The first and most important thing that any audio producer needs to learn how to do is to adjust things like these. Now, this is a track equalizer. Many people are probably familiar with this term or have heard it before. If you pull out your phone and it has a music playing app on it, odds are there's a graphic equalizer function. Essentially, all an equalizer does is it controls the output levels at various frequencies. And having worked for Audible through ACX, there are requirements you will have to meet to a certain degree, and depending on who you're working for, that you will need to work into your audio. In particular, ACX has specific demands about what the decibel floor and decibel ceiling can be. And one of the ways in which you address both of those issues is with an equalizer. As you can see here, I've got a lot of the low end dropped out. Pretty much everything below 80 hertz just sweeps back from there to the point where it's basically non-existent. Because let's be honest, if I'm producing any sounds below 40 hertz, no one's really going to hear it anyway. And all it will do is just add noise that will be perceptibly obnoxious, but won't be it. It's kind of like a secret note or that one seasoning that a chef throws into their recipe. You would notice if it wasn't there, but you don't notice that it's there. It's kind of like that. So that's why you drop out the low end. The next thing you can see is that there's a little dip down here at 320, roughly. This is just to sort of help even out the timbre of the voice overall. And then there's a little bit of a spike towards the top end so that higher frequency sounds, which tend to sort of get lost a little bit, you can make sure that they're still included. And the next and probably most important thing is the compressor. Now, anyone who has ever worked with an actual physical compressor understands what the basic concept of what a compressor does. For audio, it's a bit more complicated. And frankly, I don't know how to explain it. I have a layman's understanding of what it does, but I'm not an audio engineer. I'm an actor. And you know how that goes. Anyway, the general purpose of the compressor is to basically set limits. As you can see here, there are a couple of numbers included down here, specifically for threshold, which is at -24 in decibels. What this basically means is that anything that drops below that point will basically be cut out to a certain degree. And this essentially is also the limit at which things will be allowed to pass through. So anything that exceeds the threshold essentially gets compressed back in, and it basically evens everything out. Like you'll notice on the one audio track here, this track has already been put through and rendered as a separate track using this equalizer and a track compressor, and I think a noise gate, but I'll get to that later. But you'll notice that most of the peaks are more or less the same height, and they don't, and for the most part, none of them cross, a certain point on the actual visualization here. Because if we zoom in a lot, you can see this is just the waveforms. But you'll note that none of them really seem to cross above a certain point. That's what the compressor does. And that allows you to, if your client has specific requirements about what your decibel ceiling can be, this is how you get that stuff under control. So now that we've talked about that for a bit, let's go ahead and play you guys a little bit of something. Rebecca put a lot of work into recording this. And as anyone who follows my channel regularly knows, in the middle of the first pass at recording this, my old computer dropped dead. And it was painstaking, but I was able to recover what we had done in part. And in the end, Rebecca opted to just do it over again, which means that she had to put a lot of extra work into this project. So I'm very grateful to my wife for busting her hump more than once for my sake. So in a moment, I'm going to do a little bit of playback and give you guys an idea of what the first 4.5 minutes sound like. And anyone listening, I'm give me let me know that the audio is coming through. Otherwise, I'm going to have to figure out what the hell's wrong with this thing again. Okay, here we go. I really hope you guys are hearing this. Because otherwise I've just been sitting here for no reason. So one of the things you guys can see as the tracks carry on, you can see the compressor here reducing the output so that it stays within a certain range. Working on it. Let me see if I can figure this out. Yes, I see. I see. Thanks, Richard. Let me see if I can figure out why the audio is not coming through. Let me see. Yeah, I gotta say, so far, one of the things that really aggravates me about this process specifically is trying to figure out why things are on or not on. Yeah, I'm not sure why that is. I wonder if there's. Let me see. I wonder if there's an audio that I'm missing here. Actually, yeah, let's try that. Okay. All right, we're going to give this one more try and see if it works. So stick with me. We're going to see if I can. I'm going to keep these windows up at the same time so that I can see the chat line in case I'm dead airing again. All right, let's. We're going to start from the top. Let me know if you hear it. You getting this? Hmm. Well, once again, it's just very frustrating trying to figure out what on earth is not working here. Hmm. Hmm. Let's see if this does it. I'm tempted. I am very tempted to grab my mashing hammer and just start crunching things. You know, just break out a thunder hammer whenever you need one. All right, we're gonna give this one more shot. If this does not work, then I may end up just cutting a small section out and posting it alongside when this stream ends up live, so that people can listen to some of the stuff that I was talking. Yes, I am making a thunder hammer. It's currently quite unfinished, but it's actually leather wrapped wood, and it mostly just needs a paint job, and I need to actually decorate the hammerhead that I'm actually going to use, because the one that's on there right now is just a tester that I was cutting apart to see what worked and what didn't. Another one of the weird things that I do with my free time. All right, so we're going to give this one more shy. I would hope so. It's no Dawnbringer, but I'll do what I can. All right, I'm going to try the audio one more time. Let me know if this comes through, and hopefully I don't blow someone's eardrums off. Are we getting it this time? I'm not sure what the issue with this is. Like, I have a streaming software thing here, which I guess you need in order to actually do anything through YouTube directly, and this is it. And as you can see, it has, audio links for everything. I mean, it's got input, output, the desktop, my microphone, everything. And yet, for some reason, it just won't transmit them to YouTube to hear. And the thing that's especially frustrating about that is because this comes after it not wanting to play video. So, yeah, barrel of laughs, that is. I suppose I could try just disconnecting my headset and letting the microphone try and pick it up via the speakers, but that's probably going to sound terrible. And I put too much work into this to make it sound terrible. Yeah, so I think I'm going to have to cut a small preview video for people to look at so that this isn't a complete waste of time. In the meantime, however, let's see if I can... Let's see if this makes any difference. Somehow I doubt it, but... yeah, it's not reading any output, which doesn't make any sense because, it's there. The desktop audio seems to be working, but for some reason it doesn't think this qualifies as desktop audio, I guess. Maybe if I get rid of this one. I suppose it's possible that one was interfering with the other. Fair enough. And I'm glad you enjoyed Mechanicus or Myriad. That one was a lot of fun to record. It'd be really lovely if I could figure out why this wasn't actually transmitting the audio from my desktop, despite the fact that it claims that it's doing just that. I don't know. Anyways, yeah. I honestly, I think I'm going to need a tech priest for this one. And yes, I have tried appeasing the machine spirit. Anyway, we're getting close to 40 minutes. So I'm probably going to cut this pretty soon. Thanks to everyone who showed up. And thank you to Richard for participating. Have a good night, man. So yeah, I'm going to have to spend some time doing some troubleshooting and figuring out how to make this silly live stream thing behave the way I want it to. Or I'm just going to start banging my head on a wall and maybe that'll work. I doubt it, but I don't know what else I have left at this point. Anyways, I will cut a short little video to show off some of the stuff that I was trying to show off in this live stream, and which the semi-useless streaming software and YouTube's terrible interface refused to play for everybody. So, if there is anyone still paying attention, any other questions people want to ask or any other things people want to see or hear? Well, I guess we'll call it there then. It's been an experience. I would like to do this more than just this one time. In particular, I think it would be nice to, once I actually figure out how this thing is supposed to work, I would kind of like to, like live stream an actual recording session, which will probably kill the magic for some of you, but so yeah, I hope that this stream was useful for some people and fun for some others. But yeah, I think we're going to call it there. You guys have a good night, and I will keep everyone posted about what we do next. Bye.